Fantastic. Oh, because I'm a believer. An atheist doesn't believe it, but somebody does believes it.
Yeah.
You're welcome to believe I'm wrong, but from my point of view, I believe it. So I get great peace of mind from believing it. Now, when my parents both died, they were believers, I was believers. Death wasn't something miserable and sad. It was a case of, great, it's nice in the next life, I'll see you when I get up there as well. So it makes dying so much nicer.
I agree with you, but that's like a utility value, so that doesn't demonstrate it's true. It just means that it's a nice thought to have.
Okay, but put it this way, even if you're right, it's still good.
How's that? Why would you believe something we can't demonstrate?
It's still good to be nice, to have nice thoughts. Now, I do believe it, but you don't have to accept my beliefs. But I believe it makes me happier than I would otherwise be.
If there was some kind of way that somebody came back from the dead properly, not near death, and they showed that, I'd be happy with it. I'm ambivalent either way. So if we could demonstrate that, great.
Well, there are lots of people who have had near-death experiences. It's a case of whether you choose to believe it or whether you choose not to believe it.
Yeah, but the key's in the words, near death. That's not the same thing. So, had they died like Jesus for 3 days and been risen, supposedly, now that we can take seriously. But they die for a couple of minutes, half an hour, whatever the case is.
So you don't take it seriously. But if someone goes up and they're told, you're not dead yet, you got the choice. You step further, you can't go back. You got the choice of going back. To me, I find that convincing, even if you don't.
No, I can see why you would like the idea. I just don't see any good reason to believe it. I think that's the difference.
Yes, but it's a case of I trust them when they say these things.
Do you trust everybody on everything they say?
Because I've met. Do you trust everyone?
Absolutely not.
I don't trust every atheist, and rightly so. But I know atheists who've had near-death experiences. Atheists, people I've known are atheists who've had near-death experiences. Yeah. So to me, that's convincing.
What, of a near-death experience?
Yes.
Okay, so they've died and come back again, supposedly, or they've half died, or they've
call it half died.
Gone.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's
because they didn't cross that last step. But they are aware that there is that last step, that next step.
Who's aware?
The people I talk about, the atheists who've had the near-death experiences.
Okay, if you're convinced of that, I think that we could find other reasons which are as reasonable.
Well, you could have ones which you would believe, and I could say I have the ones which I believe.
Yeah, but let's say we've got different ones. We both can't be right. Is that right?
So correct, and I believe I'm right, and I believe you're wrong.
Sure, but we need to look outside of our opinions, isn't it? So we can't use our opinions.
You could look at the holy books. You can see all the plethora of prophecies which have come true. Now, I'm a navigator by trade. I understand mathematics. I know that the percentage chance of all these prophecies being said a couple of thousand years ago coming true, the percentage chance of that coming true by coincidence is billions and tens of billions to one. So I would take that into account as well.
I'm not sure how you would come to 10 to billions to 1, but even if that's the case, that's still not good reasons.
It's a bloody good reason.
For you,
and it needs something even stronger to counteract it. I've heard nothing stronger to counteract those prophecies which came true.
Give me an example, like what?
The fact that the Jews, 2,000 years ago, were kicked out. It was prophesied in advance they were kicked out. It was prophesied they would come back. It was prophesied how they would come back. And it came true to the letter.
So they actually, so according to you, they prophesied that it would have a state again in 1947, and that would be the boundary of that area?
No, listen, you put words in my mouth.
No, I'm asking.
I never put words in people's mouths. I want to know what they're saying, not what they're saying. It's prophesied they would come back. How they would come back. It says Zion will be recreated in one day. There was a vote of the United Nations in one day, and it was brought into force. I find that convincing. It says after the Jews were kicked out, the land will become desolate. And it's known from everyone went to Palestine for the last 2,000 years, it was a desolate place, barren, desolate place. When the Jews went back, as it says in the Torah, when they go back, they would rebirth the land. They would make it fertile. The Jews have built kibbutzes, they've drained swamps, they've turned desert into pasture land, just like it said so. It even says, you might find stretches, the order in which they come back, from the north, from the west, from the east, from the south. And they came back in that order. So there are so many things like that, and they will again speak the holy tongue. Yes, after 2,000 years, the holy tongue, which had become only a language of prayer, has gone back to be the language of Israel. Hebrew is the spoken language of Israel, not just the land of prayer. Language of prayer. So, he asked me a question. He's been listening. He asked me a question. I give him. If he asks me a question, he would expect to get an answer. Yes, yes. He was talking to me, so I'm talking to him. So he has many times, he has said things.
That's fine. I mean, if you believe that, to me that's not convincing. The broader the revelations, the less convincing they are. So if the revelation said, for example, that 2,541 Jews will take a part of Palestine, and here's the line, and it's this day and time, now I'd be going, that's pretty remarkable. When you
so
give
the
me
fact that it doesn't say the number of Jews came out, even though Jews went back, because it didn't specify the numbers, you take to account. Okay, I don't know exactly how many people died in the Second World War. It doesn't mean that the Second World War didn't happen, it just means I don't know exactly how many died.
Okay, that's not
it's irrelevant.
That's not
it's
the same
irrelevant.
point,
but okay, I'll come to another point then on what you're saying. It does say, more or less, when they're going to go back when the Spirit becomes stronger in the world. And it does give an approximate date. It says certain things are going to happen over so many years. And it's these prophetic years, when you add them up, come to 17. The Balfour Declaration, allowing the Jews to go back, happened in 1917. Could be coincidence?
Yes, because you're trying to make it fit.
But by what you just said, if you gave an exact date, I'd say yes. If you look at an exact date, if you put together all the years that the Jews will be out, it says how many years, how many months. But prophetic years are different. Like 1 day equals a year, things like that. You come to 1917.
But the Jewish state was recognized in what year?
No, that was when the Jews started going back.
That's exactly my point. You are trying to match up dates with what you think. When was Israel created? On that one day in
48.
1948.
47. 47 to take place in 48.
Can you see why? I accept that you believe it. Can you see why other people who are not Jews would have a problem with that?
Now, I can see why some people would find excuses to not believe it. Even though the massive coincidence of the fact that Jews were kicked out, they were, that they would come back, that they were, the order in which they would come back, all those things, but you can always find little things, but it didn't say that, so if I don't have to believe all the other things.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe any of the revelations of the Muslims?
There are hardly any, but I do, yes.
Oh, you do believe them? So, like Muhammad foresaw I think it's the Battle of Badr, etc. So you do believe
No, that's not in the Quran. Not in the Quran. That's hadith. I only trust what came down from God. Torah, Christian Gospels, and the Quran. There are lots of sayings outside those things. I don't trust them. Only the Quran I trust.
Okay, but you trust the Quran, the Bible, and the Torah, you say?
Yes.
And so when they're contradictory, what happens then? Who do you trust then?
I can't tell you. In the Quran, the last one down, it actually says there are differences between them. Yep. And when you die, you'll find out about these differences. In important things, doesn't matter. There's believe in God, be nice. It's all life's about. All the religions say. All the other bits, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So you dismiss everything. Are you aware that most Muslims here that come and debate with Christians say that the Quran says there's no Trinity, and all the Christians say there is?
No, not all.
Most of them.
Not all. The word Trinity does not appear in the Bible.
So is the Bible wrong, or is
the Bible's right? It's stupid to say the Trinity.
The Catholic Church invented the word Trinity in the 3rd century.
Yeah.
It never came from
So you're not a
Christianity.
Trinitarian either? Right. Okay.
It was invented at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD by Constantine and those bishops that were so called.
Yep.
But there's no such thing in the Bible as Trinity. The word Trinity is not biblical.
So you see no contradictions at all with the Bible?
No, you're
Torah,
right. I told you exactly there are. I told you the Quran even says that there are.
Okay.
And you find out the exact answers, the minor little differences which I couldn't care less about. I'll find them out after I'm dead. In the meantime, all you're going to know is if you're good, life goes well for you. If you trust in God and pray, things will be a little bit better. And you have the peace and knowledge of knowing there's life after death, which I love. That's all that matters. All the rest doesn't matter.
You're entitled to that, your opinion, if you wish.
Yes, everyone in the world is. So are you.
Yeah, correct. But we want to find truth. And if we've got different opinions...
And the truth that I said, and I give you why I said things. Now, all these amazing coincidences, you say the coincidences, I say there's billions to 1 chance.
What is truth? What is truth?
That which comports with reality. That's what comports with reality.
In scientific, you're speaking...
With whose view of reality?
You're speaking
with some views of reality,
just about
which changes all the time.
He asked me
People used to believe the world was flat. They genuinely believed it. Now they believe it's a globe.
How did
the
they come
world
to
hasn't
that?
changed shape, but people have changed their view of their perception. That's
My
all.
friend, how did they come to that conclusion?
Because the perceptions of reality change.
No.
They do.
No, they didn't. Do you know how they found out the Earth was curved and round instead of flat? Do you know?
I'm
No.
a navigator. I used to navigate ships. I know it's round.
Yes,
I
but
couldn't care less how they found out.
okay.
I don't know how television works. I know it does. Doesn't mean that
We
people
use
don't know how it works.
science
There's
to
no
work out
televisions.
that it's round instead of flat. That's my point,
Science
which you
is
don't
limited.
seem to be.
Science
Yeah,
can't
no, I
answer
said we know. I
spiritual
don't know the
matter.
exact science.
That's fine.
Science can
Yes, but
only
you made the
gauge-
point that we've gone from a flat Earth to a round Earth, and I said to you, how do we find that out? We found out through a scientific method.
Yes.
About 300 BC.
But other times, there were other scientists at the time were saying no, it's still flat. Do you know to this day there are flat earthers? You look on the internet.
aware of this
there are
one
loads
here,
of
by the way.
people who claim they're scientists and say it's a flat Earth. Okay, so I'm
You
saying
are confusing scientists
scientists.
with a scientific method. It's a difference. There's a scientific method and there's scientists.
There are different
Huh?
scientific methods.
Yes, ask that guy
There
there
are
behind
other
you.
people who have different
He's the guy that's
scientific
running it, yeah.
methods.
Or that lady.
Where do morals-
Don't confuse
where do-
science
where
with
do-
science
I don't.
method.
I don't.
Scientific
I don't.
method. Well, you are because
I
you just said
don't.
it.
No, I don't. There are different scientists who have conflicting views.
How do we find out which views are correct? What do we?
There's a lot of times
how
we
do we
don't know.
establish?
And people
the-
have changed their views.
My friend, if
Many,
you
many
shout,
of them can't.
There
They
are
can't
people who
find
have changed
out.
their views. Scientists have
how do
changed
they
their
change
views.
their views? Is my question.
Yes, the fact
Do
is
they
that
get together and do it by
Many-
vote,
many science-
democracy?
many
What is the
scientists-
mechanism
many
that
scientists-
scientists use to change their views?
They do it the same way as they came to the first wrong answer, and then they get the right
Many
answer.
scientists just
And what is that
reject the
method
other
called?
scientist's opinion. Flat out.
They just look at science and they prove
The scientific method is what it's called.
Yes,
that's
yes,
all you
we
have to
said
say.
that. No. There are lots of people with different scientific methods, and all claiming they're right, and everyone else is wrong.
The Velenkam theory says that there was a beginning to the universe.
No, it doesn't.
It had to be a beginning to the universe.
No, it doesn't.
But many scientists, especially atheists, reject that idea. Now they're believing in a
No, it
multi-universe.
says the universe was very dense about 13.7 billion years ago.
Correct.
So it says it was very small, and since then it's been expanded, but we don't actually know what occurred before then. So it
No,
doesn't say there was a
I'm
beginning.
talking specifically about the board, Velenkam and the other guy.
Good.
They came to the conclusion that the universe had a beginning, and
Yeah,
that
okay.
was when it started. That was the Big Bang. That's what they believe. Those three scientists. That's the most peer-reviewed of all science. But now it's changed since then.
Yeah, 'cause we
And
don't-
but the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is with this man is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
scientists. He's trying to say that science moves on,
it does.
and they all
It does.
come to a one agreement where they all
Yeah, but the
agree.
point-
But they don't.
Yeah, but the point is,
Yes,
don't.
exactly.
What you're missing.
He blindly wants
Because
to follow
many
scientists.
atheists believe it like
You
this.
get confidence.
Where
We
did you
believe
get
in following
where did you
science.
get
What's your name, man?
that?
What's your
Where
name?
did you get that assertion from that I believe that all scientists come together? What
But that's
did you listen to what I
seen-
actually said to
that's
him?
seen-
Yes,
to
from what
be-
you said, that's what I take from what you said from your
Okay,
words.
then you're not
That's-
listening closely, my friend. What did
You're
I
not
say to
explaining
you?
yourself closely.
Okay,
the
maybe
way
I'm
it
not.
moves forward- the way it moves
Within
forward
the
is
scientific
you
views,
falsify
there are
the
different
bits of
ways
the
of coming
theory
to
that don't
things,
work,
and they
and you
change their
acknowledge that
views.
there are parts- there are
So they
parts
say
of the
we're
parameter
right,
space
is
that
what you
haven't
said,
been
the scientific
explored.
valuation.
And
Then they change
and then you
it.
extend the theory by small.
And how do they change it through a
But it doesn't
method?
mean
So
that-
they
it doesn't mean that
And they
in the
change it
general
again, so it's
domain
not
of
gospel,
public
but they
so
availability,
they
can't
constantly
That's
improve it is what you really mean to
The
say.
main
Yes,
problem
yes, that's
is
right.
Right.
That's
when-
right.
What's wrong with
when
that?
you're debating things in the
Nothing's wrong with
context-
Then we're in
it.
agreement.
But
in
it's
the context
well,
of whether
it's slightly different now what
there's
you're
a
saying
God
before. You're saying
or whether
now we
there's
know
no
it.
God.
I say
In
no.
that
You got the latest
You've
theory,
got the
that's
prob-
all,
the
and
problem
then theories
is
can change and evolve.
I agree with you. The
Where
best
did those
theory with the
gases
best evidence we have at this
magically come
moment.
from?
That's all
Yes,
we
the
can
Big
do as
Bang.
humans.
That's what I'm saying it is.
Then we're in
And
agreement.
is the universe
Yes,
I
collapsed?
never
There's no
one
meaning behind
at
it.
any time
There's
said
no logic.
this is the
Why
absolute
are we
truth for
reasonable?
anything.
It came over that
Actually,
way.
what-
Okay, well then I
what-
apologise.
so-
Somehow you misinterpret me. No.
We have energy conservation.